Good evening, everyone. My name is Anne Kantharajah. I'm the municipal clerk. I will call this January 6, 2025 Committee of Adjustment meeting to order at 6:01. This meeting will be held virtually where the committee members, staff, and public can participate electronically. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be on the township website. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act, that all information attained is considered part of the public record. All rules apply to the meeting as if everyone was attending in person, and if there's a problem with the technology impacting the proceeding of a meeting, the meeting may be recessed. With that, I will go to section 2, which is confirmation of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to confirm the agenda for tonight's meeting? Councillor Prodrick and Councillor Willis, all in favor? That carries. Section 3, disclosure of any pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Is there any members on the committee that would like to declare anything? Okay, there were none. Section 4, which is the appointment of the chair and vice chair. Are there any nominations or self-nominations for chair or vice chair? Mayor.
I nominate Councillor Prodrick.
Councillor Prodrick, do you accept?
Yes. Is that for chair or vice chair?
For chair, I believe.
Okay, yes, I would.
Okay. Anyone else for chair? And is there any nominations for vice chair? Councillor Prodrick?
I would nominate Councillor Willis for vice chair.
Okay. Councillor Willis, do you accept?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else? Okay. So the committee just has to approve those appointments by resolution. So we can do that together, the appointment of the chair and vice chair together. So the motion would read that Councillor Prodrick be appointed as the chair of the Committee of Adjustment for 2025, and that Councillor Willis be appointed as the chair of the Committee of Adjustment for 2025. Can I get a mover?
So moved.
Grant, thank you. Seconder? Susan? All in favor? And that carries. Mr. Chair, over to you.
Thank you. And thanks for the members of the committee for the confidence. I also want to acknowledge Councillor Townend for his time as chair and member of this committee, and wish him well in his many pursuits. Item 5, adoption of the minutes. Adoption of the minutes of December 2nd Committee of Adjustment. The recommendation is that the minutes be adopted as circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lindsay, seconded by Councillor Willis. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay. Moving on. Item 6, public meeting, D13-013-2025, Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, Algonquin and Lakeshore Catholic District School Board minor variance. And staff, I believe we have a report in front of us. Mr. Griffin or
Yes,
Ms.
thank
Furness?
you. Oh,
Please.
sorry. Thank you, through the chair. The application for Our Lady Mount Carmel School in Amherst proposes a number of variances in support of the reconstruction of the school building. Specifically, the variances are a reduction in the drive aisle width for accessing parking spaces from 7 meters to 6.2 meters. A reduction in the setback of a garbage enclosure from the interior side yard from 5 meters to 3.4 meters. Relief to permit other landscape materials in a planting strip if landscaping materials noted in section 4.29B are not available or achievable due to utility structures. And lastly, to permit a planting strip on the eastern and southern lot lines to be set back 8.3 meters from the property line. Staff are recommending approval of the applications as they meet the 4 tests of minor variance. Specifically, the general intent of the official plan is met as the proposed redevelopment of the school site conforms with the intent of the low-density residential designation, as well as the institutional policies of the official plan. Secondly, they meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw, as the use is permitted and the variances are not anticipated to have any negative impact on the overall functionality of the site or neighboring land uses. Thirdly, the requested variances are considered appropriate and desirable development of the land as they will allow for the efficient use of the site to support the overall development. And lastly, the proposed variances are considered minor as there are no site circulation concerns. Adequate measures have been put in place to mitigate any screening or privacy concerns of neighboring properties. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member, let's go, sorry, is the applicant present or is there an applicant present?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I have a Brandon on the line, but I'm not sure if they're the applicant.
Okay, I believe he's on the staff of ALCDSB.
Okay.
Sir, would you have any further items you'd like to add or any additional information?
They're just joining the meeting.
Okay. Hello, Brandon. Do you have anything you wish to add?
Mr. Chair, if you would like to gather the questions from the other committee members, I'll try to get Brandon back online.
Okay. Mr. Lindsay, I believe you have a question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is a question to James, and again, James, forgive me, I don't like to get into details of site plan. However, in order to give me the comfort level to make a decision on one of these variances, I'd like to see how staff is dealing with the request to reduce the interior side yard setback from 5 meters to 3.4 meters for the garbage enclosure. And what I'm getting at here is that in so reducing this setback, is it going to cause any disturbance or any problems with any adjacent properties? And how is this garbage enclosure going to be screened and taken away from view from surrounding properties?
Thank you. Through the chair to committee member Lindsay. So there's a few things. One being odor. They are proposing what is called an earth bin. So the reduction, staff are confident that there won't be an odor concern as there's this new product, the earth bin, which the garbage receptacle is actually in the ground. So it's specifically designed to reduce odor. Then in regards to the screening, there is going to be the planting strip between the interior side yard and the garbage enclosure. And then as well, there'll be another wooden enclosure around the garbage. So it's screened by 2 layers as well. From an odor concern, they are providing a product that specifically reduces odor from garbage receptacles.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Anyone else on the committee? I just, Councillor Willis.
Thank you through the chair to Mr. Griffin. The garbage bin, that was my question as well. Where is it located if I'm looking at the schematic that was included?
Excuse me, through the chair. So it is on the site, it is in the northeastern side of the site. So there's the walkway, there's Park Street, and then there's the walkway. So if you just continue the walkway from Park Street to the neighboring school, the receptacle would be between the proposed Mount Carmel school and the walkway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I just, Your Worship, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Griffin. Just reaffirming, I guess, the reduction from 7 to 6.2 for the lane between the parking spaces. With some of the vehicles, some people are driving larger vehicles. Could you just reaffirm that there's no concerns with turning movements to be able to safely enter and exit the parking spaces?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to Committee Member Hagedorn. Yeah, so as part of this application, it's there was a site plan submitted for the redevelopment of the school. As part of that site plan, a traffic study was submitted that reviewed not only traffic coming to the site, but traffic on the site as well, that reviewed circulation as well. There's within the site plan, there were circulation drawings showing that their traffic could appropriately move throughout the site. Our engineering staff, as well as our peer reviewer as well, have reviewed both the site plan drawings and the traffic studies.
Okay, thank you. I just have one sort of question I want to sort of thrash out in my head, and this may come up with site plan. The way I look at the schematic that's laid out, there'll be a bus loop in front, basically similar to where it is now, but set back from the road. Where's that entry and exit point? Will there be because the way I see it, there looks like there's one entry point and an exit point, which is to serve both the parking lot and the bus lane, unless I missed something. And my concern is, will buses be going out onto Upper Park from the school in general? Because I know that we consistently have received feedback, at least at the council level, from people about traffic there at certain times of the day.
Thank you to the chair. So so there are 3 entrances proposed on the site. I will note it isn't the entrances and the question don't overly pertain to the minor variance and wouldn't affect the staff's recommendation of the minor variances. But to your question, there are 2 entrance and exit points on the site, then an additional entrance point for the buses and the bus lane, which is on the southern half of, or the southern portion of Park. And then the buses would come through the lay-by and then exit into the northern entrance off of Park.
Okay.
And that's at this point, that is the design. I will note that there has been no site plan agreement entered into at this point, and things are subject to change. However, we are very close to entering into one. And at this point, that is where the entrances are being proposed.
And just a minor thing to prove I do read these, Mr. Griffin. On page 4 of 21, you refer to commercial, when it talks about the property around the site, you refer to commercial at the north. And I don't know, is there something going to happen I'm not aware of, or is it just an oversight?
Thank you. That is a typo.
Okay. And if I may, was there any feedback from the public?
So we did receive, with the notice, we received some questions specifically around circulation around the site. So traffic concerns, notably on Park and Upper Park, as well as some concerns about having sidewalks. None of them really were pertinent to the minor variance itself. We did receive one. It was more of a clarification or comment, not so much a concern, question regarding what is very similar to Mr. Lindsay's question in regard to the overall garbage enclosure and what that looks like. So that was clarified by staff.
Okay, thank you. Anything else in the committee? Was there any further from the public? Clerk, do we have anybody from the public online that wishes to ask?
No.
Okay.
No, Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay.
But if you'd like to just ask the public, there are a couple members that are waiting in the
Okay.
room.
If there's anyone in the public domain that wishes to comment or ask questions, could you please raise your hand?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Could we go back to the applicant and see if they wish to add anything to the presentation tonight?
Mr. Chair, so I was able to determine that that person is here for item 6.3, not 6.1.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so having that, we have a recommendation, and I'll read the recommendation that the report from the Developmental Services Division dated January 6, 2025, Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, Algonquin and Lakeshore Catholic School Board, minor variance we received, and that the minor variance application D13-013-2024 affecting property described as Lot 40, Concession 1, being Block E on the registration plan number 375 and Block G on registration plan number 520, and municipally addressed as 97 Park Crescent in Amherstview, to permit variances as outlined in the report be received and that be recommended. Do I have a mover? Councillor Willis, seconder. Mr. Lindsay, any further comments? Seeing none, we have a vote on that, please. All in favor of recommendation? And that is carried. Thank you. Item 6.3.
6.2.
Sorry, 6.2. Better put these back on. Item 6.2, D13-014-2024, 1280 County Road 4, Timothy Birt and Victoria Friesen, minor variance. Mr. Griffin.
Yes, thank you. So the application proposes to vary section 4.1.2 of the zoning bylaw to allow for a detached garage to be closer to the street line than the main building, or in this case, a dwelling. Staff are recommending approval of the application as it meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Specifically, the general intent of the official plan is met as the proposed garage conforms with the policies of the rural designation. Secondly, the general intent of the zoning bylaw is met as the use is permitted and the variance will not impact the streetscape. Thirdly, the requested variance is considered an appropriate and desirable development of the land as the detached garage will not impact the general character of the area. And lastly, the proposed variance is considered minor as the request will not negatively impact neighboring properties or pose any natural impacts to natural hazards.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Griffin? Seeing none. Are the applicants online? Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, Mr. Lindsay.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. Just quickly, Mr. Griffin, as I understand this, it's a unique requirement that that has to be satisfied here in the zoning bylaw and the official plan documents. And I guess what I'm getting at is the key point that makes me comfortable with this is that the proposed garage will be approximately 280 meters from the road and will not be visible from the road. So, and hence, it's clearly that the intent of the zoning bylaw is being maintained as the garage is subordinate and incidental to the principal residence building. I just would like you to confirm that because really, if there's any a time where a variance or that's not required, maybe in this case, but I understand the requirements are in the planning documents.
Thank you, through the chair to committee member Lindsay. Yes, that's correct. The main intent of that zoning provision is meant for smaller sort of urban, if you will, and rural residential lots. So you're not having garages or large garages along the right of way. In this case, there is a large forest as well, as you noted, over 200 meters away from the road. So it isn't visible from the road. So the intent of maintaining a streetscape is being maintained. So it is an appropriate variance and meets all the four tests of minor variance.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Anything else from committee members? I see that the applicants are online. Do you wish to add anything? Looks like a no. Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the public, Madam Clerk, that are online that may wish to add?
Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. And we have a recommendation. I will read it here. Recommendation is that the report from the Development Services Division, January 6, 2025, re 1280 County Road 4, Timothy Birt and Victoria Friesen, minor variance be received, and that the minor variance application D13-014-2024, affecting the property described as part lot 1920 concession 4 Ernesttown, part RDAL, I don't know that acronym, BTN LT, 19 and 20 concession 4 Ernesttown, part RDAL, BTN concession 4 and 5 Ernesttown, as in LA 252648, ST the interest of the municipality, ST LA 249883 in the geographic township of Ernesttown, Loyalist Township in the county of Lennox and Addington, more particularly located at 1280 County Road 4, to allow a detached garage to be closer to than the main building, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in report D13-014-2024. Do I have a mover? Your worship, seconded by Councillor Willis. Mover, seconder, any further comments? Nothing else from the committee? We have a vote on the motion, please. Motion is carried. Thank you, and I want to thank the applicants for being online with us. Feel free to move on with the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Next item, 6.3, D10-007-2024, 288 Wilson Road, Rachel Mulrooney, Severance. Mr. Griffin.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, the applicant Rachel Mulrooney is proposing one new rural lot off of the property at 288 Wilson Road. The proposed lot will have an area of approximately 13 hectares and a road frontage of 150 meters onto Wilson Road. The retained lot will be approximately 26 hectares with about 155 meters of frontage onto Wilson Road. The subject property is designated rural on Schedule A of the official plan. As well, it's within the environmentally sensitive overlay on Schedule B of the official plan. Due to the environmental sensitive overlay, the applicant provided an environmental assessment in support of the severance. The study concluded that there would not be any negative impacts on the ecological function within the environmental sensitive overlay, which is a significant woodland. The study was reviewed and signed off by a township third-party peer reviewer. As well, staff reviewed the application against the applicable provincial and municipal policies and found that it was consistent with all policy documents and therefore recommending approval subject to the conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this? Seeing none, is the applicant online and do they wish to add anything?
I don't wish to add anything.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mulrooney. Are there any, Clerk, are there anyone online who may wish to participate in this?
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a recommendation that the report for the Development Services Division dated January 6, 2025, re 288 Wilson Road, Rachel Mulrooney, Severance be received, and that the application D10-007-2024 affecting property described as part lot F concession Gore, Ernesttown, part 1, 2, 29R 2702, except part 1 to 4, 29R 5263, Loyalist in the geographic township of Ernesttown, Loyalist Township in the county of Lennox and Addington, and more particularly located at 288 Wilson Road, be approved, subject to the conditions in report D10-007-2024-288 Wilson Road. Do I have a mover?
So moved.
Mr. Lindsay, seconder. Councillor Willis, do we have any further questions from the committee or comments? I call the question then. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Mulrooney.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is 6.4. D10-008-2024 300 Wilson Road, Gord Warner Severance, sorry. Mr. Griffin?
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, so the applicant Gord Warner is proposing one new rural residential lot off of 300 Wilson Road. The proposed lot will have an area of 0.81 hectares and 73 meters of road frontage onto MP Road. The retained lot will be approximately 57 hectares with 368 meters of frontage onto Wilson Road. Similarly to the previous application, the property is designated rural on Schedule A of the official plan and environmentally sensitive on Schedule B. An environmental study was submitted and concluded that there were no negative impacts to the ecological function of the environmentally sensitive area. The study was peer reviewed by a township third-party peer reviewer who agreed with the conclusions of the applicant's ecologist. And as well as township staff reviewed the application against relevant municipal and provincial policy and are recommending approval subject to the conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you. Are there any members of the committee that wish to ask any questions of Mr. Griffin? Councillor Willis?
Through the chair, just for clarity, so right beside where this property is, there's already a house that has a swimming pool. Are we severing to create a lot that house is already on, or is this one that's adjacent to that lot?
Through the chair to committee member Willis. So are you speaking? So the severed lot would be vacant. It would be a rural vacant lot for development. The retained lot, there's an existing farmhouse up on Wilson Road at 300 Wilson Road that would be remaining. But the severed lot would be vacant for residential development.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No. I see Mr. Warner is online. Mr. Warner, do you have anything you wish to add?
I don't.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, is there anyone in the public online?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is one person in the public in the waiting room. If you'd like to give them an opportunity to raise their hand,
Yep.
I can let them in.
Okay, person, whoever you are in the waiting room, if you wish to comment, raise your hand, please.
Mr. Chair, they did not raise their hand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a recommendation on the table that reads as follows, that the report from the Developmental Services Division dated January 6, 2025, re 300 Wilson Road, Gord Warner, Severance be received, that the application D10-008-2024 affecting property described firstly, part lot E, concession Gore, Ernesttown, part lot F, concession Gore, Ernesttown, part 2-3, 29R 5951, and secondly, part lot EF, concession Gore, Ernesttown being traveled road aka Empey Road, BTN, RDAL, BTN, Concession 7, and Concession Gore, Ernesttown, and RDAL, BTN, Township of Ernesttown, and Township of Camden East, Loyalist, and the geographic Township of Ernesttown, Loyalist Township in the County of Lennox and Addington, and more particularly located at 300 Wilson Road, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in report D10-008-2024, 300 Wilson Road. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
So moved.
Moved by member Lindsay, seconded by the mayor. Do either mover or seconder have any further comments? Any other members of the committee? Okay, the motion is on the table for recommendation. All those in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Warner. All right, that takes us to that's it. I think that's it. We have no decisions. Do we have any other business? None. I see upcoming meeting date is February 3rd, 2025. Could I have a motion to adjourn? I was going to say nobody wants to adjourn. Moved by the mayor, seconded by Councillor Willis. All in favor? Thank you, and carried.